Well, you're absolutely right. And they're only juniors, and Lindsay Wisdom Hilton has taken her game to a totally new level this season and then up that in the NCAA tournament. Elena Larkins has the most incredible skill set for a post. Not only does she lead this team in scoring rebounding, she's third in assists. This was a point guard in AAU ball.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First of all, for Purdue. Now, they've only had 2 different starting lineups all season. This is the second time. Malone and Gerald still in the backcourt, but the change is in the front court. Number 24, Kiki Freeman gets her first career start. She's joined by Lawless and Wisdom Hilton. Meanwhile, for North Carolina, in the backcourt, the irrepressible Ivory Latta, along with Camille Little. In the front court, it's Pringle, McCants, and Larkins, who did a wonderful job passing the ball early in their last game against George Washington. And for more on the rematch, Rebecca Lobo.
Mark, when these teams met in the Sweet 16 last season, the game was decided on a last-second shot by Ivory Latta. 8 of tonight's starters played significant minutes in that game. So what should we expect this time around? Aaron Lawless told me we have the underdog mentality, revenge even, losing the way we did. Katie Gerald said tonight's going to be a great battle between 2 pretty good teams. Now Carolina's motivation, taking care of unfinished business. Latoya Pringle said all season it's been there, done that. We're looking for something new. We haven't won a championship. That's what we want to get. Guys, they have to go through Purdue again to get it.
Been here before. Sylvia Hatchell, in her 21st year on the sidelines at North Carolina, has given her players a blank check. They need to fill it in with speed. Sharon Versett, meanwhile, boy, what a great job she's done in her first season on the sidelines in West Lafayette. The former 4-year starter at Purdue has her team on the brink of a Final Four appearance, and we are underway. And they run this playoff to tip so many times, but this time Little unable to finish on a layup. It'll be Purdue basketball.
Oh, that's nerves, absolutely. Exactly what Carolina wants to do. They want to play speed ball from the minute they tip to the time the buzzer sounds.
And this is something that Purdue's going to have to deal with the entire 40 minutes, Nancy, is this full court pressure.
Well, the full court pressure, but you want to keep the ball to the middle of the floor and finish at the rim.
Aaron Lawless with the game's first bucket, a good sign for Lawless because in their game against Georgia, she sat for most of the game because of foul trouble. She picked up 3 quick ones in the first half. Well,
the thing is, you're going to see a lot of zone to start the basketball game off. A little bit of that 1-2-2, looks like a 3-2 by Purdue. So how to do.
No doubt. Right out top, 10 on the shot clock. They go over the top. Jumper coming up a little bit short that time by Pringle. Here's Katie Gerald. Gerald's had 30 points against Georgia. 18 of those 30 came in the second half when Purdue needed her the most. Here's Lawless at the high post, and she turns it over off of Malone's chest to Ivory Latta. And Latta missed the layup. She looks like she took a bad last step there. But she had her teammate Larkins there having her back, and we're tied at 2.
Well, that's very unusual, and this is the bread and butter defense for North Carolina right now. This is their 1-3-1, and look what happens when you get the ball in the middle, and you see nerves right now, Mark. You got to finish with your eyes, even if your body's telling you, I'm a little hyper at the moment.
Nancy, we've seen 3 missed layups already from the 2 teams. Here's McCants in the corner, dribbling out top.
Carolina does such a good job with their spacing. It is hard to double them, and you have a great passer on the interior in Larkins.
He sure is. She had 6 assists in the last game. That ball out of bounds. It'll be Purdue basketball. We have an interesting and intriguing contrast, Nancy, in styles today. North Carolina, the leading team in the nation, scoring the ball at a little under 85 points per game, and Purdue, one of the top defensive teams in the nation.
Well, they're 7th in the nation, and they only give up 54 points a game. What I like about them is that they're big on the perimeter, and they're so good at executing. They box out. They do the little things.
Nice trap by the Tar Heels. There's another one of those deflections. Gerald's with her first field goal attempt, and it's a good one. Katie Gerald's playing with the shiner. Got a black eye. She caught a stray elbow, a little friendly fire from Aaron Lawless, her teammate, in practice a couple of days ago. But hey, it's working for her.
When players are in the zone, what they have is confidence, and the game slows down. Right now, that's happening for Katie Gerald. She's finding her shot in rhythm.
She sure is in a good way right now, especially offensively. 5-2. Purdue with an early lead. Played about 2.5 minutes in the ball game. Malone against Latta. Nice point guard matchup. Malone, the freshman out of Evansville, Indiana, was on the all-freshman team in the Big Ten this year and the all-defensive team as well.
Yeah, well, she's a good pickup for them because that's one thing they lacked a year ago when they lost, is you see the travel. See, those are the turnovers that will not hurt Purdue because Carolina has to take the basketball out of bounds.
There's a look at Carolina's road to the regional final. Prairie View, A&M, Notre Dame, and then the win a couple of nights ago against George Washington. And Notre Dame was a real test for North Carolina. It prepared them for the slower tempo game, and Ivory Latta knocks down her first 3-ball attempt. We're tied at 5.
A nice shot by Ivory. She was 1 for 9, I should say, from 3, 2 for 12 in the last game against George Washington. I thought she was fading on her shot. She looked set and ready to shoot on the catch.
That time Nancy Kiki Freeman knocked down her first field goal attempt. She's getting the start tonight in place of Jody Howell, who suffered a shoulder injury in their game against Georgia a couple of nights ago. McCants with the short jumper inside the foul line.
Well, that's the problem with the 3-2 zone. If you bust through the top of it, there's only 2 defenders coming at you, and they have the athleticism. This game is squarely about tempo. Who can control it? And that job belongs to Malone for Purdue.
That time she turned it over. Malone was a little bit shaky a couple of games ago, had 9 turnovers in the round of 16. That's the 3rd turnover for Purdue, and there's a look at the Boilermakers' road to the Elite 8.
You know, they're a totally different team. So much success Purdue had when Christy Curry was coaching them, but I believe this team has a different mindset. They really bought in almost instantaneously to her system, her team building, and it's done wonders for Wisdom Hilton and for Gerald.
Wisdom Hilton with a short jump shot off the mark, rebounded by Larkins, and that's going to be a foul underneath against Freeman. North Carolina averaging 85 points per game. The scoring machine ready to crank it up when we come back.
Russell Athletic, ESPN Arena Football, all season long on ESPN2.
It's time to play Take on Orbitz. This week's winner is you. That's right, you.
Go to Orbitz.com during the Hotel Mega Sale and save $100 on 5 nights at select hotels nearly anywhere in the world. Just Orbitz and go.
All right, rookies, you're all here for the same reason, to get to the show. You too, kiddo.
Shop Dick's Sporting Goods for the best brands in baseball and wind up a winner of big league prizes like gift cards, coupons, and t-shirts. Simply register to play at any Dick's store and you get 3 pitches to wind up a winner. March 30th through April 1st, only at Dick's Sporting Goods. Sponsored by Major League Baseball.
We got fried eggs, fried cheese, fried beans, fried potatoes, fried bacon, fried butter.
Find your healthy place. Sobe Life Water, rich in antioxidants.
Hey, look at me. Lock in. Crusher here has an extra deltoid muscle. Means he's got exponentially greater bucking propulsion. Now you lean back and you hang on. I'll be there.
New rodeo clowns are a lifesaver.
Rodeo clown? No, I'm with the birthday party. Hello! Oh, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
I don't know.
Sorry, I was just closing up.
How can I help you, folks? Our car actually broke down.
Why don't you check in?
I'm slipping in my clothes. David, is that this room?
I think it is. There's no way out.
What's happening?
911 emergency.
They've got us trapped.
You'll never survive if you lose control, Mr. Fox.
They Can See. Rated R. Everywhere April 20th.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented on ESPN by Orbitz. Save big at Orbitz.com. Just Orbitz and go. And in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Orbitz. North Carolina leading by a pair. Kiki Freeman making her first career start You got to deal with the heat when you're a starter, right?
Absolutely. A lot more pressure on you to perform. You can't watch and get a flow for what's happening in the game. You have to be a part of making that situation happen. But early on, 3 turnovers for Purdue, and that has led to 7 of the 9 points for North Carolina.
Kind of following in the pattern of the Georgia game a couple of nights ago when they were buried by 13 early. Larkins, meanwhile, with the tip-in and won.
Well, earlier in the game, I thought Purdue did a nice job against the press. You must go over the front line of it. Right now, this is a little point press, and they're trying to take the ball out of her hands, Malone. You must pass it ahead. Look at this. You get the numbers. Lawless runs to the front of the rim. That was more points since he scored in the game against Georgia. First time all year, Lawless was held scoreless in 16 minutes.
Larkins unable, meanwhile, to complete the 3-point play. That last foul against Wisdom Hilton, that was her first. And interesting that Larkins and Wisdom Hilton were teammates on the USA Basketball Under-20 team that won gold this summer in Mexico. So they never had a chance to room together, but Larkins saying that Wisdom Hilton didn't really say much. And for more on the last huddle report, let's go to Rebecca.
But you guys could see the intensity Coach Versap had. Well, it translated again into the huddle. She said, where is the intensity from the team? Where is the containment? On defense, just because you're playing for the drive doesn't mean you're not aggressive. You still have to close out. Said the Lindsey Wisdom Hilton, why pull up? Go all the way to the basket. And then Nancy, she addressed exactly what you said. She said, we're having success against the press, getting it to the middle. Keep going there.
On the shot by Lawless, it's off the mark. And so far, you'd have to say that they've dealt with the pressure so far pretty good of Carolina.
Well, they've dealt with it, and the turnovers that we talked about that will be acceptable to Coach Versap is the ones where they don't lead into transition for Carolina.
Ivory Latta turned it over. And a discontinued dribble or palming or whatever you want to call it.
You know, everybody talks about, well, Ivory Latta's scoring is down. Yeah, it's the lowest amount of points she has scored since her freshman year. Her assists are up. She's shooting more threes this year. It could be a byproduct of her knee and her conditioning initially.
Jumper by Gerald's a little bit off the mark. Out of bounds, it'll be North Carolina basketball. Yeah, getting back to Ivory Latta. She had off-season knee surgery and took her a while to get that explosiveness back. Was unable to work out for most of the summer like she usually does. But at this point of the season, she seems to have returned to her old self. Told me a couple of days ago that her weight is at 136, right about where she was a season ago at this time.
How do you get women to tell you how much they weigh?
It ain't easy.
It's a heck of a scouting report, Jones.
You got to duck.
See,
here's Lawless on the wing.
Yeah, I like the matchup here. Katie Gerald, this is what she added to her game from a year ago. She spent countless hours in the gym with Coach Versap working on the 1 dribble, 2 dribble, push through to the rim.
Gerald's playing with invariable confidence right now.
But isn't that what this game is about? Stars must be stars this time of the year.
Speaking of which, Ivory Latta, star off the mark, and here's Malone. Malone taking it all the way in and getting a nice soft touch and roll. And Purdue right back in it, tied at 11 now.
I like that. I like that the freshman was one-on-one, didn't pull it out, had the confidence to go to the cup. My gosh, how many times can Ivory Latta post up somebody? Malone is only 5'3". And I might say Latta's 5'6". She says 5'7". She had a growth spurt, but I don't believe it.
Bucket good that time, and that was Little with the baseline jumper. North Carolina back out on top. Malone running the point, being guarded by the much taller Little. Malone feeding it nicely to Gerald, who comes up a little bit short.
At that time, I thought Katie didn't get her hip through her shot, and it was short, but she is so proficient. You know, Reggie Miller kind of hails from that state of Indiana. Unbelievable about getting open, reading how the defender's playing you, curling it, or fading it. She does a great job of that.
A turnover as McCants couldn't find the handle, and here's Katie Gerald once again. Tried to bounce pass it to Malone, and it's a kick ball. Well, the NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Orbitz continues with action from the Final Four. Rutgers takes on LSU. The winner of this game will take on Tennessee. That's at 7 and 9 o'clock respectively. Coverage beginning at 6:30 Eastern with the NCAA Women's Championship Special. And boy, more than a little surprised, Nancy, at the result in that Tennessee-Mississippi game.
Okay, I have to be honest with you. I didn't think the score was a surprise to me. But until you have played against Ole Miss's speed and pressure, new teams don't know what it's like. Tennessee knows what that's like because they play against them so many times. Only one time this year, but Pat is used to preparing for that type of game plan.
They certainly look comfortable as Larkins looked comfortable on that turnaround jump shot, giving North Carolina a 4-point lead. Elena Larkins with a great floor game a couple of nights ago. 14 points. I really like the assists that she handed out.
Well, she told us before the game, I said, come on, you have to have something of a point guard in that body of yours. And she said, you know what? I did. When I was in Florida, I played an AAU team called the Stars with two Z's. Why did she look at me when she said that? And, you know, she said I was the point guard. And you know what? She has great handles. She is a beautiful passer, and she averages almost 3 assists a game.
One of the top offensive rebounders in the country. Here's Latta on the wing. Pringle out top now with 11 on the shot clock for Carolina. Miller has come into the game. Latta trying to turn the corner, which she does. Came up empty on the scoop shot. 2 on the shot clock, out of bounds. 1 on the shot clock. It'll be Carolina basketball. And the Stars, well, it's about them not necessarily running plays in this game. It's about Stars making plays. And the Quasars are out in full effect when we come back to Dallas.
So he sent me the most beautiful bouquet ever.
What'd the card say?
Only something beautiful for my something beautiful.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know. Everyone here has been joking. He must have done something really bad. You don't think... you don't think he could have... Oh...
Singular is now the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
Now get an ultra-thin Samsung phone for only $19.99.
Morning.
I appreciate someone who's willing to listen.
Hey! Check the air in the ball.
Someone I can count on for great coverage.
Somebody's got to get to the basket.
That's why my go-to guy is my State Farm agent.
For car insurance, nobody matches State Farm's combination of personal service and low rates.
Even I can't argue with that.
Get a quote today and see how your insurance matches up to number one.
Like a good neighbor?
State Farm is there.
Yes, it's time to vacation, Dollar Millionaire style.
Road trip!
With outstanding McDonald's fries and outlandish legroom. This cabin is first class all the way.
Oh, these people don't fly coach, but they're pretty fly.
They're also decked up with decadent double cheeseburgers and other dollar menu delicacies. No, they don't need a 5-star hotel. They've got $5 million.
She turned around and left the cave, and I'm standing there by the pool of water alone, and it just brought up a whole bunch of issues that...
W tym piórze nie ma atramentu.
What?
I wtedy możemy zacząć dopiero pracować.
Using a broker you can't understand doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones speaks in a language you can understand. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Ranked highest in investor satisfaction with full-service brokerage firms by J.D. Power & Associates.
Trey Wingo here. Great finish in a semifinal game between West Virginia and Mississippi State. West Virginia down 2.1 ticks to go. Darius Nichols bottoms on a 3, and just like that, the Mountaineers go in to the NIT final. Let's go back to Mark and Nancy.
All right, this game is available in high definition on ESPN HD. A look at the State Fairgrounds here in Dallas, Texas. Glow at night. And somewhere out there on the map is Carrollton, Texas, and the wonderful home of Nancy Lieberman, who was nice enough to have over yesterday, a little barbecue.
Oh, my gosh. You and I cooked up a storm. Trey, Kara, and Stacy would have been jealous of all the food we ate. And the
Lots of steak and chicken.
Home-baked cookies.
1 on the shot clock for the Tar Heels here. Well, that's pretty much a catch, and just throw it right up right away.
On a short...
And that was a quick 1 second now.
Yeah, it was. And I know that Sylvia is saying that also. But it wouldn't matter because on a short clock, you cannot throw the ball out. That play has to go to the front of the rim.
McCants breaking up the pass. That's the fourth turnover by the Boilermakers.
Boy, if that pass was just a little bit longer and had air, that's a layup for Gerald.
Miller goes inside. It's batted away nicely by Wisdom Hilton.
See, Katie Geralds can play all positions on this floor. At 6'2", she can play point guard. She could play the 5-4 if she had to. She's got so many dimensions to her game.
Ivory Latta took a seat on the bench during the last time out. Miller now is going to run the show at the point for North Carolina.
See, this is a little bit of soft trap right there, and Carolina has to recognize that.
Almost another Carolina turnover as Little will come back into the ball game.
That's a good substitution. Get Little, your senior, in the game. This is a kid who a year ago played the 4. Sylvia asked her preseason, can you play the 3? We need you to start facing up. She is an unbelievable defender. First team, matter of fact.
Even though she is first team, kind of overlooked in terms of her star power on this team. Latta getting a lot of the hype, a lot of it well-deserved, but Camille Little making a very selfless sacrifice to move to a different position this year to get and accommodate Pringle into the starting lineup. And boy, her numbers really productive, 14 and 6 on the season.
And she's really smart. She told me the other day, she said, you know what, I'm really close with Coach Roy Williams. I go in there, I talk to him. It's always nice to have that other voice besides your coaching staff, and he keeps it positive and real for her.
His father, Robert, played for the Harlem Globetrotters back in the day. Malone out top for Purdue. And they turn it over. Here comes Ivory Latta. Her second 3 ball on the way, back rimmed it. Ivory Latta continues to struggle from the field. She was 8 of 22 in the tournament coming in to this one tonight, and that's going to be a push-off against Danielle Campbell. Campbell had a nice game a couple of nights ago against Georgia with 11 points and 5 rebounds. The bench work between Campbell and Freeman was really invaluable for Coach Versick.
Well, she's not very deep, but when the 6'4" soft comes in the game, they depend on her for rebounding, for defense. She has a great understanding also of how to score down low.
Looking up at the scoreboard here. And North Carolina with no team fouls. Purdue with 4 team fouls here with 9:45 to play in the first half. Latta out top.
Fouls have not been an issue, and also Purdue is the #1 team in the nation in not fouling teams, less than 13 a game, so they don't put teams on the line arbitrarily.
Here's Gerald's in the front court. So far, you'd have to say the tempo favors Purdue. You do the math and extrapolate a little bit, we're probably right around the low 60s somewhere right now, or even lower than that.
Yeah, this is not exactly what Sylvia Hatcher had in mind when she was thinking we want to get 100 possessions in our game. Even if we have 18 or 19 turnovers, we're playing the percentage, the ratio of possessions per turnover.
Katie Gerald's off the mark, gets her own rebound back, and she's fouled by Larkins. There's the first team foul against North Carolina. As Geralds will go to the free throw line, and she is money in the bank when it comes to free throws, shooting about 90% on the season. Right now, let's check in with Trey Wingo for a SportsCenter 30 at 30.
Mark, thanks very much. If everybody knew what Guillermo Canas knew, Roger Federer would just be another tennis player. Second time in a month, he's beaten the #1 dominant player in the world, this time at the Sony Ericsson Open in 3 sets. Meanwhile, Duke has granted the University of Texas permission to speak to Gail Gestencourse about their open job with the retirement of Jody Conrad.
Nancy, what's your take on that?
Well, I know that Texas will have a conversation with Coach Gestencourse within the next day or two. That is imminent. My friends in the state of Texas have told me that that's pretty much a done deal. Gail will definitely be in another tax bracket.
Wow. Gail Gestencourse has had so much success at Duke, and Howell knocks down the three-pointer as Purdue now takes a 1-point lead. Good to see Howell in the ballgame. As we mentioned earlier, she did not start as she usually does because of a shoulder injury that she suffered against Georgia. And that's going to be a foul against McCants as we go for more on Howell's status with Rebecca.
Well, guys, I talked to the Purdue trainer, and it's an AC sprain of her left shoulder. She's just wearing a pad on it. The only thing it affects is raising her arm up over her head. And the good news is the trainer said it's a type of injury that will improve significantly in a week's time. So if Purdue does make it to the Final Four, the injury will be better. And it's the type of injury also that won't get injured further by being in the game. It's just a matter of how much pain she can deal with. And looks like it's fine, at least on the shot, guys.
Yeah, Rebecca, she's getting her jacks up, and Wisdom Hilton inside, giving Purdue a 3-point lead. It's 20-17 with 8:09 to go in the first half. The Boilermakers up.
This is a great timeout right here by Sylvia Hatchell, because right now this game is squarely where Purdue wants it to be. They are long, they're athletic, and they are pretty big, and they are not affected by any sort of pressure by Carolina at this point.
Well, the last time these two teams met went right down to the final possession as Ivory Latta took charge, and like she's done so many times before, made the game-winning bucket. Here she is. This was in Cleveland last year. Goes off glass on the runner to make it 70-68. Katie Gerald's shot off to the right. And North Carolina advanced to play Tennessee, and they would eventually defeat Tennessee in the next game, moving on to the Final Four before finally losing in the national semifinal to Maryland.
Players do not forget moments like that. Players, when you make a shot like Ivory did a year ago, or Katie Gerald's, when you miss a shot, they're so competitive and they remember those moments. And you know, I'm looking at North Carolina's offense. They get a third of their offense off threes. They get about 19 points a game. They get 22 attempts off the foul line, which equates to about 16 points a game. They're not getting to the foul line, they're not hitting threes, and they're getting nothing in transition.
And nothing inside on that sequence as Howell came over on the help to foil Elena Larkins. That doesn't happen often. We'll be back to Dallas and Reunion Arena after this.
StubHub! Still looking for college basketball tickets? Already have tickets but can't make it to the game? Go to StubHub.com today to buy and sell tickets to any round of the tournament. Where will you be? On the couch or in the stands? StubHub!
Huh. Calories provide energy, but how much energy do you need? Powerade Option, the low-calorie sports drink.
Opening night is great, isn't it? The anticipation in the air, the ceremonial first pitch that always seems to go awry. It's your number one versus their number one. It's the first hits, home runs, and backward Ks of the season. But the real beauty of opening night is that everyone believes that this could be their year. Major League Baseball on ESPN, the perfect game. Opening night, Sunday night at 8 on ESPN2. Built by the Home Depot.
Keeping Wisconsin families safe starts with experience. Judge Annette Ziegler, 10 years on the bench, a former federal prosecutor. Experience taking the worst criminals off our streets and putting them behind bars. Experience that got the praise of 41 district attorneys and police unions across the state. Judge Annette Ziegler. Her experience and judgment are keeping Wisconsin families safe.
The insurance choices you make affect your present and future.
And the valuable assets you worked so hard for require the right protection.
Place your trust in an independent insurance agent that can give you multiple quotes from top insurance companies.
At very competitive rates. Rates that frequently beat the competition.
SIAA Insurance Choices. Local independent agents that help you make the right choice.
In Madison, your choice is the Curtis Agency.
Back in Dallas, and Purdue leading by 3 points, and Katie Gerald continues to move so well without the ball. This example from the Georgia game a couple nights ago.
Watch this. She's in control of what happens. This is a little misdirection. She's going to rub off that little high post screen. She's going to come across this way just to shift the defense. But right here, Katie Gerald is away from the play. They're going to run this stagger. Watch the last screen. Stop it there. The last screen is Wisdom Hilton. If they switch, it's a big on a little. Now look what happens when you have to chase. You come on the outside. If that, it looked like that might have been Miller. Or that was Corey Chambers. I should, from the game before. But that's the problem, because if you shoot the gap, she fades. If you lock and trail, she curls to the middle. We talked about she added that 1-2 dribble to her game. She's
been able to read those screens so well, moving well without the ball. North Carolina with possession here. Claytor's the three-point shooter, but off the mark that time.
Look at Malone. Malone just taking care of tempo. If she has it.
Took Alana right to the cup and made the layup. No, what a great job she's done this year. Carl Malone didn't start playing the point until her senior year in high school. She was a natural two-guard at one point. But she's done a nice job running this team throughout the season. A 5-point lead for the Boilermakers.
And they have been able to sit in that zone for the most part because they haven't been hurt in the middle. Larkins has not been able to get involved in this game, and I think Camille Little, who's their second leading scorer, has to have a touch, and she has no points.
Boy, Latta was way off the mark, came up short on the air ball.
Very underrated half-court offensive team by Purdue. They're wonderful at taking care of it. They play as a team, not individuals, and they know how to use screens.
Malone to Gerald, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Katie Gerald, who knocked Alex Miller down to the deck. That's Gerald's first personal foul.
But they recognized the mismatch that time. Miller trying to guard the 6'2" Geralds.
And Versip, the first-year head coach at Purdue, after 1 year at Indiana. Before that, 5 years at Maine, turned around Indiana in 1 year. And boy, what a meteoric rise she's had here at Purdue this year. Outside Miller, passed up the shot.
I really think that North Carolina is dribbling too much against this zone. They're not finding the gaps.
Underneath, it's Pringle with the layup.
You have to go inside and out on the diagonal to beat the zone as it's shifting. If you pass the ball right, they'll never catch up with it.
Lawless had it stripped by Larkins, and here comes North Carolina with a chance to tie with a three or come within one.
I really don't think that the man-to-man defensive speed of Carolina has bothered Purdue in the half court.
It hasn't looked that way so far. Miller out to Latta. Latta walked with it. Ivory Latta a little bit out of sorts right now. She's a little bit sideways.
When you look at this right here, you would say, oh my goodness, how does that happen? Because you know Ivory Latta on her own is going to be able to manufacture points, but you know, it's a key in the game right now. They're dominating it. Malone is in total control of what's going on for her team.
Latta just 1 of 6, Nancy, from the field with a couple of turnovers.
But see, point guards stay in the middle of the floor. Don't shade it too early because that tips off the defense where you want your play to be run.
There's another turnover by Purdue. North Carolina with numbers. Latta on the layup. That might help her confidence. Anytime you get an easy one like that, it can get you going a little bit. Ivory Latta, not her normal effusive, irradiant self yet, but she can detonate at any moment. With 5:32 to go in the first half, Purdue up 1.
Well, we have not seen this, a transition basket by North Carolina. They make their living on stealing the ball by half court. The mentality is steal, score, and that's how they hurt you, and they put you on your heels.
Sylvia Hatchell can live with a bunch of turnovers as long as they're playing the right way. Well, you get first glimpse of the best high school basketball players Wednesday night on ESPN and ESPNU. First at 5:30 Eastern on ESPNU. It's the McDonald's Girls High School All-American game at 7 Eastern on ESPN. See the top high flyers in the 2007 Powerade Jam Fest. Then at 8 on ESPN, catch the McDonald's Boys High School All-American game. McDonald's High School basketball on ESPN and ESPNU Wednesday. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
Well, if you say so, I'll watch it. But in 2003, Miss Indiana, who was the McDonald's High School All-American Game MVP. That would be Katie Geralds.
Okay.
Katie Geralds was at that game. So many of the great ones have come through there.
And for more on Ivory Latta, let's go to Rebecca.
Well, guys, media was asking Sylvia Hatchell yesterday in the conference about Ivory's shooting slump, and she said, you know, after the Georgia game, we were up all night charting things, and one of the things we were charting was the passes into the post. Ivory had 11 passes into the post. She is playing well. It's not all about scoring, and she said this year Ivory's numbers are down, but her leadership is up. It's one of the reasons we are a better team this year.
And on the whole, Latta feels that her decision-making has been much better this year. That's going to be a foul against Pringle. That's her first personal foul. North Carolina now with 4 team fouls as we look at the numbers for Ivory Latta in the tournament so far. 2 of 12 in the last game a couple of nights ago against George Washington. And you look at the three-point shooting, Nancy. Boy, about a little over half of her shots come from beyond the three-point line.
Well, that's more than she's done throughout her whole career, but I still think that's because her knee, and she's not getting to the rim. She hasn't been to the foul line. line as much as she has been in past years, but she's fine. She has matured as a team player. She and Camille Little are 121 and 17 in 4 years. I would take that any day.
No doubt. That last foul against Lawless. As Howell goes to the bench, Coach Versup able to get a little bit of production out of Howell, albeit with the injured left shoulder. And North Carolina now with a chance to take the lead, under 5 minutes to go here in the first half.
Okay, this is where the defense of Purdue is taking away the #1 option of North Carolina. You must be good enough to get to your second option and your third option.
Little gets the layup to go inside, and she got off to a shaky start, Nancy. That play they run off the opening tip usually goes to her, and that time she made the layup. Earlier, she missed the layup.
Well, we talked about she is the second leading scorer on this team, 14 points a game. And not only is she here for leadership, but she has to have productivity. That was an early pass to the post before they could slide that weak side post to double team her. Early post entry passes against this 3-2 zone.
Here's a look at the points in the paint. North Carolina with a decided edge so far. And they recently got the shot clock issue straightened out. Alone at the point for Purdue.
Look how patient and meticulous she is.
Katie Gerald's fading away. Rebound. Campbell had it swatted back. Out of bounds. It'll be North Carolina basketball as Freeman stepped on the end line.
Well, Campbell's got to go right back up with that shot. She can't hold it and dip it. It looked like a nice shot for Gerald, but see how you bring it down and it allows the defense to recover.
Purdue down by 1. Little. And she gave it away. Freeman with the pick. Here comes Malone. That's the 11th turnover already for North Carolina.
Look who's guarding the point guard, Malone Little. She can play so many positions. She's just like that utility defender.
Campbell inside for Wisdom Hilton, missing the reverse layup. And she compounds the problem with the foul afterwards. 3:35 to go in the first half. Fakara Malone. Fakara in Arabic means intelligent. That's a smart play there.
So, John and I are thinking of going to Cancun, if we can find a good deal.
It's funny. So are Dan and I.
It's time to play Take on Orbitz. Today's players want a total vacation, hotel plus flight, and must save over $300. Go.
I need a deal to Cancun.
Oh, that's outrageous.
Done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's that easy. Next time, Orbitz and go.
Buy you a Chevrolet. Go buy you a Chevrolet. If you give me some of your love.
Nobody can shut that Chevy down, 'cause that brand new Chevy is mine.
I like my beat down low. Hey, and my top lit. Can't you see me ride 24 in my Impala with?
No, we're not the jet set. We're the old Chevrolet set. But ain't we got love?
No, we're not the jet set. We're the old Chevrolet set.
Top off at mycokerewards.com.
Don't think of them as tools. This is not a saw, it's a deck. So we can grill out. And this is a shelf for our vacation pictures. And this, okay, really?
It's the Home Depot Tool Event. Get an instant $35 to $500 off from power tools and wet dry vacs to generators and more. Now through April 11th.
So this is my nice clean garage, right?
The Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
Trey Wingo here in our studios. Coming up at the half, Karen Stacy will tell you how Tennessee took apart Ole Miss to get to their 17th Final Four in school history. We'll also update you on what's going on with Gail Gestencourse. Texas has been granted permission to talk to her about becoming their next head basketball coach. Plus, Guillermo Canas can stop Superman. He beats Federer for the second time in a month. It's all coming up at the half.
Two extraordinary events in the same day. Federer losing and Katie Gerald's missing a free throw.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
North Carolina by a point. Pringle at the free throw line makes the first. Pringle a 73% free throw shooter. And Purdue usually isn't a team that puts you in the chop shop, Nancy. The fewest fouls per game in the NCAA.
Well, it saves a lot of stress because you don't give teams easy baskets. And, you know, LaToya Pringle, the junior, I really like her. She's the type of kid who will do anything. She really sacrifices a lot of her offense for her teammates.
And Latta knocks down her second three-pointer of the ball game. North Carolina now countering, Nancy, with a 10-0 run to take a 5-point lead.
Well, credit Larkins, who half her rebounds this year are offensive. She just attacks it so, you know, just so hard she goes to the rim.
Great overplay by Larkins on the wing, too. Got the miss from Latta and got the stick back. And here come the Carolina Tar Heels, leading by 7 points now. And Purdue now is a little bit sideways.
Well, you can see the change in tempo after that timeout. You must take your time and stick with your game plan if you're Purdue, and that's Malone's job, the freshman.
Geralds comes off the screen and knocks down the jumper right in Little's grill.
She's long. She's bigger than 6'2". She almost reminds me a little bit of, remember Abrasamova at Connecticut. She was so much bigger in person than she was on film.
And Little with a little get back at the offensive end after Geralds nailed that jumper on her. And the lead back up to 7 points. The game getting a little bit more fluid at the offensive end.
Well, you've got the top team in the nation in scoring in North Carolina, so you know they're going to manufacture points in a variety of ways off defense, in the half court, threes, steals.
And another turnover. Latta. Ivory Latta with the layup. She's gimpy a little bit. She was hurt a couple possessions ago, and Ivory Latta limping.
She is so good in the open court. Now she's using more of her basketball acumen because maybe the knee is bothering her some. She goes back up. This time she goes right to the rim. She gets clipped. We see the different angle from that. I still think she has to work on building the strength in that leg. I still say it bothers her.
That's often the case when you come off of a knee injury, building up those quadriceps. And there's a look at her mother and father watching from the stands here.
So supportive all the time. You know, you see the parents, like I look at also Katie Gerald's parents, Sharon and Tony. They have attended 100% of her games her senior year. That is amazing. And then you see Ivory's parents and a lot of the other parents. You know, that's a commitment.
It's a lot of miles. Frequent flyer or driving. Here's Malone on the baseline. Blow by on Miller. And a strong rebound, but the wrong outlet. And Wisdom Hilton gets the stick.
Well, that's the other player that has to really start making some hay.
Shonda McCants with the jumper rattles down. And McCants is on the score sheet. That's her first bucket.
Mark, we talked about Wisdom Hilton having to be consistent. She did that this season. It was a breakout year for her. In this game, she hasn't really had a lot of touches. She's got a beautiful game, mid-range jump shot.
She leads Purdue in rebounds, blocks, and field goal percentage. That shot is way off the mark by Malone, and here comes McCants. North Carolina finding its groove offensively, but they turned it over on this possession.
You don't have to hit the home run on every pass.
Gerald's to the bucket. Nice feed underneath to Wisdom Hilton. Great discretion by Katie Gerald's.
Well, discretion. She's got the skill set. She can shoot, she can pass, she can rebound, and she's a better defender than people think.
That WNBA draft coming up in less than a week, by the way. Underneath Pringle with the stick back, couldn't get it to go, and Freeman pulls it away.
Two of the first-round draft picks are in the gym right now in Gerald and Ivory Latta. And, you know, I think teams are going to take a good look at Camille Little. And, you know, Candace Parker has already said that she is going to stay, go back to Tennessee. But what about the other star that we haven't heard?
Sylvia Fowles?
Sylvia Fowles is draft eligible. And we have not heard anything this season about what her plans are. Will she stay or will she go?
Gerald's with a clean look with 2 seconds on the shot clock. 7 seconds to go. McCants runs it down nicely, but she stepped on the end line. Couldn't put the brakes on quickly enough.
And there's plenty of time on the clock right now.
Ivory Latta, meanwhile, still in the locker room for North Carolina. She left about a minute and a half ago. Was limping around the court at the time. 3 seconds to go. Malone. Contact, no call. And that's the end of the first half of play. North Carolina leading Purdue by 7 points in a rematch of a game they played last year in Cleveland. It's a 12-point lead, actually 12-point advantage on the 18-6 run by North Carolina. And let's go courtside to Rebecca.
Coach, you only have one with 3.5 minutes to go. What was the difference those last couple of minutes?
I think we picked up the tempo. You know, that's how we like to play. We picked up the tempo, and that was in our favor. But, you know, we got to keep playing good defense and take better care of the ball.
What happened to Ivory, do you know?
She turned her ankle. We're going to get her taped up. She'll be back second half.
All right, Coach, thank you. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Rebecca. North Carolina leading at the break. Right now we send it back to Trey and the gang in the studio. Trey, always a little bit of drama with Latta. Back to you.
Mark, no question. You could say sometimes there's a lot of drama with Ivory, and there was no drama about what those Carolina fans were going to wear. They came out in their blue, and they're ready to celebrate their team. Ivory and company closed the first half, Carol, on an 18-6 run to take the lead, but Purdue really was dictating pace for most of this first half.
Yeah, they were. I thought in the first 15 minutes of that first half, Purdue did a nice job of dictating that tempo. And here's what they do. They're so smart defensively. They keep you in front. They weren't bailing Carolina out with fouling when they would take wild shots. And the big thing was they weren't allowing them to get the offensive rebounds. I think only 5 offensive rebounds for Carolina in the first half. But those last 5 minutes was a Carolina team that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, well, Sylvia Hatchell, Kara, just talked about it. They picked up the pace a little bit, scored in transition, but very simple difference for them down the stretch. You score in the paint. I think they're dominating the paint right now in the first half. When you score high percentage shots, you're going to have a great lead, and that's the difference in the basketball game. Carolina is a team in this tournament just shooting 34% from the three-point line. They've only taken about 7 in this game, so they're not settling. That's a good sign.
Yeah, and the key for Purdue, you got to be able to manage those runs and those offensive spurts when they come at you, because you know they're coming with Carolina, and they'll probably have 1 or 2 more of those in the second half. Carolina in the lead as a #1 seed, trying to get to the Final Four. Earlier today, really after the tip, another #1 seed pretty much cemented their way to Cleveland. We'll tell you how Tennessee took apart Ole Miss.
The NCAA Women's Championship, presented on ESPN by Orbitz, is brought to you by Chevy, an American Revolution.
Okay, now what? Rock, paper, scissors for it? Okay, that's fair. On 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I threw paper.
I threw a rock.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Low 5.
Hey, head to the side, seat back low. When you see me ride away, I'm in my Chevy ride slow. I'm in my Chevy ride slow.
Nice ride, homie.
I'll trade you.
Chevy Impala SS, an American Revolution.
Hoop fans, don't miss your chance to go to the 2008 Women's Final Four, April 6th and 8th at the St. Pete Times Forum in Tampa. Log on to ncaasports.com to apply for your tickets online. That's ncaasports.com. And don't forget the 2008 Men's Final Four, April 5th and 7th at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Log on to ncaasports.com to apply for your tickets online. That's ncaasports.com, the official website of the NCAA.
For complete car care, it's CarX, where our lifetime brakes come with a free oil change. Lifetime brakes from $79.95, and that's $79.95 installed, plus a free CarX oil change.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
When your child gets sick with the usual illnesses an unusual number of times, it could be an immune deficiency called PI. Get the warning signs.
I just switched to Charter high-speed internet, and let me just say, wow. Now my internet connection is super fast, way faster than DSL. So I can go online and take care of my banking or do research or whatever in no time. I wanna play. And the less time I have to spend online, the more time I can spend doing other things.
Download, shop, surf, and game at the speed of fun. Call 1-877-SAVE-181 now, and we'll take care of the rest.
At the half of the Dallas Regional Final, it is North Carolina up by 7 over second-seeded Purdue thanks to a closing spurt to finish the first half. Speaking of a closing spurt, that happened, well, right at tip-off between Ole Miss and Tennessee. Candace Parker and Tennessee came to play, and they came to play early. We all thought she was going to stick this one, but Candace said, I got a job to do, and we're going to do it. Early lead, and then how about that defense, Kara?
Well, Tennessee defense, Candace Parker coming from the weak side.
And then the great backdoor cut off glass, Stacy. She did everything in the first half.
Yeah, she made a statement. She said, I'm the best player in America, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to take my team to a Final Four, and that's exactly what happened in this basketball game.
Threw it in reverse. They're up by 29 at the break, and why not? Just adding. That's 24 points. Tennessee by 35, and hugs and kisses, and it is cut down the nets time. Good old Rocky Top. Tennessee rolls. Just understand this. 98-62. We did the math. 36-point margin, the largest ever in a women's regional final. They are now 48-0. Tennessee is against teams seeded worse than 4. 14-2 against SEC teams in the tourney. 11 straight wins against SEC teams in the tourney. Kara, it was as if Pat Summitt said to her team, we're better than they are, and let's go out and start it from start to finish.
Well, if you want to be able to do it from start to finish, you have to have a closer, and Candace Parker is a tremendous closer. She pretty much closed out this game in the first half with her ability. She did it all. 24 points, 14 boards, 5 blocks, 3 assists, 3 steals, but it's the impact and the confidence that oozes from her that filters over to the rest of her teammates. This is the best player in the country, and she's doing it on both ends this year, Stacey.
Yeah, she had an unbelievable performance. I think that Candace Parker is unique because she has a sense of focus about her, but I think there's another player that has a sense of focus and has had for 4 years, and that's our Minty Price. 30 points in this game. How about 11 for 12 from the free throw line? And folks, there have only been 2 players in the history of women's college basketball that have amassed 2,000 points, 1,000 boards, 400 assists, 400 steals. Look at those numbers. Cheryl Miller and this young lady right here on Minty Price. Why do we show you this footage right now? Well, because we want you to remember this player. She's had an unbelievable impact on Ole Miss, and Carol Ross calls her a freak defensively, a freak offensively. She can't put her in a box. She will be spectacular in the WNBA.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's put it this way, just so you understand how good she was. She had 30, the team had 62. So basically, half the offense came from her, Minty Price. Everybody else did the other half. She did her part, but Ole Miss just didn't have enough answers for what Tennessee could do, especially Candace Parker. Tennessee goes on to their 17th Final Four. Meanwhile, Gail Gestencourse might be changing addresses. Duke has let people know that the University of Texas has asked for and been given permission by Duke University to talk to Gail about their opening. Keep in mind that opening is to replace the legendary Jody Conrad, who retired at the end of the season. Jody Conrad is out, and Gail Gestencourse apparently will be speaking to Texas about that opening. Katie Gerald's doing her part to try and keep hope alive for Purdue, but right now it is Carolina by 7 at the break.
Buy you a Chevrolet, go buy you a Chevrolet. If you give me some of your love,
Nobody can shut that Chevy down, 'cause that brand new Chevy is mine.
I like my beat down low. Hey, and my top lit. Can't you see me ride 24 in my Impala with?
No, we're not the jet set. We're the old Chevrolet set. But ain't we got love?
no, we're not the jet set. We're the old Chevrolet set.
Your new TV is awesome. The picture quality is amazing. Check it out, I'm watching basketball.
That's not a TV, dude. That's my new phone.
Shut up.
Hello?
Get out. Singular has TVs that make phone calls?
Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
Only Singular gives you up-to-the-minute exclusive NCAA March Madness video highlights. Singular, now the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
We represent the Coke brand. We would like to sue Coca-Cola Zero. Would you say that we have a case?
For what?
for taste infringement.
We want to just sue them back to the Stone Age to send a message that they're tampering with really the flagship of the company.
It's one company. It's like you suing yourself.
Yeah.
But they're on a different part of our floor.
Da, 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 da.
Fall in love with Papa John's new Italian Meats Trio Pizza. Authentic Italian taste from our better ingredients, like our zesty Robusto sauce and 3 hearty Italian meats, ham, salami, and sausage. Get a large Italian Meats Trio Pizza for $11.99. $11.99. Call or click papajohns.com.
Taste the difference. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Of fencing and 3 years of law school teach you a lot. For him, it's confidence. For me, it's pride. Go to ncaastudent.org to find out how your child could become one of the many student athletes who go pro in something other than sports.
3/4 of the Final Four is set. In Cleveland, it comes your way, beginning with coverage Sunday, 6:30, the early game of the Women's Final Four, LSU against Rutgers, and then the late game, 9 o'clock, Tennessee will take on either the winner of this game, either Purdue or North Carolina. NIT Final Four already in action. Great semifinal between West Virginia and John Beeline School and Ole Miss, or Mississippi State, rather. Second half, West Virginia down 1. Jamie Smalligan draws the foul at a 3. So Smalligan goes to the line. First one, good. Tied at 59. Second one, good. West Virginia up by 1. Misses the third free throw. There. Mississippi State comes up with the rebound. So, ensuing Mississippi State possession, Barry Stewart, mid-range jumper. So we're now down 2. 2.2 ones left. West Virginia on the inbound. So Darius Nichols, fire! Bottoms! Unbelievable, a 3 at the buzzer. Take another look. Nichols breaks free and releases the ball just in time. Oh, heartbreak city for Mississippi State, but West Virginia goes on to win 63-62. They await the winner of Clemson and Air Force, and right now in the first half, Clemson is in control, leading 22-13. You know, Roger Federer is usually in control on the tennis court, but the second time in a month, Guillermo Canas has taken him out. First time Canas did it, he ended his 41-match winning streak. Now beat him again in the Sony Ericsson Open in the 4th round. Ivory Latta has her team in front. She was banged up at the end of the first half, but will come out and start the second half as Carolina tries to punch that last ticket to the Final Four.
It's time to play Take on Orbitz. This week's winner is you. That's right, you.
Go to Orbitz.com during the Hotel Mega Sale and save $100 on 5 nights at select hotels nearly anywhere in the world. Just Orbitz and go.
What are you doing?
Should we pick him up? He has Bud Light.
He has an axe.
But he has Bud Light.
And an axe.
I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Hey, buddy. What's with the axe?
It's a bottle opener.
Hop in.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Look, there's Bud Light.
And a chainsaw.
StubHub! Still looking for college basketball tickets? Already have tickets but can't make it to the game? Go to StubHub.com today to buy and sell tickets to any round of the tournament. Where will you be? On the couch or in the stands? StubHub!
They wear the school colors for a few fleeting years, leave behind moments we'll always remember, and take with them the spirit to excel in all they do. That's why the NCAA corporate family provides scholarships, sponsors youth programs, and supports all 23 NCAA sports. They know that while the excitement of college sports is shown in moments, the value lasts a lifetime.
Hit the road. It's the Chevy Spring Sales Event, where you'll get 0% APR, plus $1,000 bonus cash when you buy an all-new Silverado. Plus, get another $1,000 bonus cash when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Don't miss this great deal on the all-new Chevy Silverado, the 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Hurry! The Chevy Spring Sales event ends April 3rd. Visit us online at ChevyDriveBadgers.com.
Thanks, guys.
Hey! That was my car.
That was your car. Well, this is my parking spot. I park here every day. That's an honest mistake.
Visit the new day Jope Gaming. A little bit of Vegas, a whole lot of Madison.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented on ESPN by Orbitz. Save big at Orbitz.com. Just Orbitz and go.
Look at the west end of Dallas, Texas. One of the hubs of the city. North Carolina leading here at Reunion Arena 35-28. A rematch of a game these two teams played last year in Cleveland. A game in which North Carolina won by a pair. Nancy Lieberman, it left Purdue with the feeling that, hey, we owe them one, but so far they have been able to pay them back as we take a look at our Home Depot coaching adjustment.
Well, the adjustment for Purdue would be to keep the ball off the sideline. They have 14 turnovers already, but see right here, if she's looking that way, why give the ball to Katie Gerald's 40 feet from the basket? You want things that are defining to the basket because the trap is coming to the sideline. Purdue will be much better suited to keep the ball in the middle of the floor, and I call it a turner. Get the ball to the player in the middle who turns it to the weak side as we look at the halftime stats here. And I still think that this stat right here and that stat for Carolina are the story of the game. That plays to their strength, and I think Stacey alluded to that in the studio about their being dominated in the middle.
Well, North Carolina finished the first half on a nice little spurt. Ivory Latta was not on the court for the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, but she is healthy enough to come back on the court here to start the second half of play. Purdue with the ball. Malone calls out the half-court set for the Boilermakers. Here's Gerald.
Yeah, they trap all these on-ball screens, so if you don't get rid of the ball early, you're going to be in a position to turn it over.
Gerald's out top inside to Wisdom Hilton. And boy, look at that. Howell snuck in and got the putback. Howell getting the start here in the second half. Larkins got an easy one, meanwhile, at the other end. Relena Larkins runs the floor so well for North Carolina.
She's an amazingly talented basketball player. You just said it. She runs the floor. She's a great passer. She just is relentless on the offensive glass. She's a great team player. She's Shaq, and they call little Ivory Latta Dwayne Wade. Those two just have fun. They're roommates. One's quiet, one's loud. One likes CSI, one likes Law and Order.
I think I could guess which one is the loud one.
Yeah, and one just likes to win, and that's Ivory Latta. The only thing she does not have on her career resume is a championship.
That is the one crown jewel missing. Ivory Latta, the school's all-time leading three-point shooter, the school's all-time leading scorer. Knocked down her first field goal attempt here in the second half. Carolina's lead, though, cut to 6 points on that Aaron Lawless three ball.
That's a nice play by Lawless, who shoots 36% from three, mostly from the top. Carolina is staying in their man-to-man defense, and that shot's open.
Boy, Howell got a hand in there to tip the pass away. Gerald was running to the three-point line, took it to the cup, and Pringle clears for North Carolina.
That's a really tough shot and a bad angle that time for Katie Gerald.
Kent's looking inside. They're trying to find Larkins. Little now out top for North Carolina.
I just think the zone would look so much bigger if they would put their hands up. It would change the passing angles and the sight lines.
It's always part of the psychology of zone defense, isn't it? No defense for that play that Larkins made on the drive-by.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was Marion Jones.
That's how fast it was.
Yeah, I mean, Lawless is a pretty tough kid and the emotional leader, but she does not have the foot speed of Elena Larkins.
Gerald gets the screen out top. Wisdom Hilton with the pull-up. Ball tipped out, and McCants controls it. Almost fell out of bounds, and she does. It's going to be Purdue basketball. Let's go courtside to Rebecca.
Guys, I talked to Coach Versup, and she said we need to be more aggressive on defense, and on offense, we need to do a better job moving the ball around. We need more team basketball. We're playing their ball, not our ball. We have a lot of turnovers referring to the 14, and Carolina's trainer, Terry Jo Brzezinski, told me that Ivory just banged her knee. It's going to be sore, but she'll be fine.
Was able to start here in the second half of play, and last year at the end of that heroic effort, that shot that she made to win the game, she actually took a big hit on that one too.
Well, I was one of those people a year ago who looked at Ivory and said, okay, you know, you got to kind of stop the drama. But nobody really knew how injured she was when she hurt herself in that Maryland game. I didn't know it until she won the award, the Point Guard of the Year award, and I saw her in Detroit, and she was hobbling, and she says, you know, I need knee surgery in 2 weeks. And I humbly said, I'm sorry.
Well, there is a perception, real or imagined, about that being out there about Ivory Latta, but for as good as she is, I don't think that she'd ever want to come off the court.
No, she wouldn't, but I like the fact that Purdue is extending that zone defense a little bit more.
And Latta picks up the foul on the reach on Geralds. Geralds will go to the free throw line for a pair. Katie Geralds, the most outstanding player in the Big Ten tournament, came into this Sweet 16 averaging over 24 points a game in the last 7 games leading up to it. A former Miss Basketball in the state of Indiana, the all-time three-point leading shooter at Purdue, and she continues to rewrite the school record books, playing in her last few games here. She doesn't want it to end.
Well, she is what you call indispensable for this basketball team, and she was the one who in the summer she was not sure because of the closeness she had with Christy Curry that she was ready to have yet another coach going into her senior year. But it was after the Michigan State game when they lost at home that Katie Geralds and Lawless, the 2 seniors, called a meeting of the minds and said, we have to be accountable for our destiny. And they have been magnificent ever since. Little extension of the zone right here.
Well, Purdue pressing a team that likes to press.
Well, they're not trying to steal. They're just trying to use some clock. And you can see 14 on the clock. There has not been a penetrating pass to the offense.
Kance with a quick move to the bucket, and Larkins is there. What else is new? Elena Larkins, tireless work on the boards. Larkins with 14 in the game.
Yeah, but that's like memo to self. If you don't box her out early, she's going to push you under the rim.
And Katie Geralds, in rhythm, knocks down the 3 ball. And she has 13. The North Carolina lead has quickly, Nancy, been whittled down to a tenuous 3 points.
This is exactly where Purdue wanted this game. You know, we talked about first in the nation in scoring. One of the top 2 teams in margin for rebounds and margin of victory, so these close games don't help Carolina.
Elena Larkins squared up with that nice reverse pivot and just busted the defender for the bucket, making it look easy too. A 5-point lead for North Carolina.
She's good. And you know what? She's so fun. She's just a great kid and has wonderful spirit about her.
Certainly does. Ball out of bounds, Purdue basketball. You say that before the game, saw Elena Larkins playing the drums with the band. So she literally does do it all. Back with more after this.
Russell Athletic, ESPN Arena Football, all season long on ESPN2.
Here's how it works. Get the nation's slimmest smartphone at our lowest price ever, $79.99. The Silver Cube, with easy access to email and Windows Mobile. It's the stylish way to work. The Silver Cube from Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Verizon Wireless, it's the network.
Hey, look at me. Lock in. Crusher here has an extra deltoid muscle. Means he's got exponentially greater bucking propulsion. Now you lean back and you hang on. I'll be there.
New rodeo clowns are a lifesaver.
Rodeo clown? No, I'm with the birthday party. Hello! Oh, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Don't forget about us, Stevie.
With Glidden Team Colors paint, you can get the official colors of your favorite team.
Sir, you're all set.
whoever that may be. Exclusively from Glidden and only at the Home Depot.
We got fried eggs, fried cheese, fried beans, fried potatoes, fried bacon, fried butter.
Find your healthy place. Sobe Life Water, rich in antioxidants.
They pick up touchdowns, pick up the bucks, and pick up their teams. Enterprise salutes NCAA student athletes for picking us all up. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
It's game time. There ain't nobody hot as us up in your spot. Giving it to you play by play and shot for shot. ESPN is in the house, it's pop to pop. The NCAA has got the game on lock, and we can't. Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone, to Reunion Arena, the NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Orbitz. Elena Larkins and Katie Jarrows leading the way respectively for North Carolina and Purdue. Purdue on offense, 10 on the shot clock. Here's Jarrows. Howell. Lawless with the rebound.
She tried to go to the counter move, and Larkins jumped.
She was waiting on her that time, and we go to Rebecca.
Well, guys, in that last huddle, Coach Hagel said, you got to trail Katie Jarrows on every screen. Get in her shirt. Get in Jarrows' face. Don't let her get the ball. Yesterday, Katie Jarrows was talking, saying, I wouldn't want to chase me for 40 minutes. Every 5 steps, you get drilled by a screen. I'm not the quickest player on the floor, but if you give me half a second, I can get my shot off. And my teammates have been giving me that time all season, and they don't get enough credit.
You can lock and trail on her all you want, but that means when she curls the screen, the big must really show and change the angle of that pass. Don't let her turn her shoulders up to the rim.
Lawless makes 1 out of 2, and something we haven't talked about yet. Jarrows with a pretty tough and arduous road back from compartment syndrome surgery. They cut her shins open, basically. She had an operation over the summertime to solve some of the numbness problems she was having in her lower legs, and she's really rebounded from that well, obviously.
Very uncomfortable injury to have. I've known a couple players who have had that. It's that tingling sensation in the lower part of your leg. It's almost like your leg's falling asleep all the time.
Gerald's in Purdue down by 4 as McCants at the free throw line for North Carolina. Rashonda McCants, as you already know, maybe the younger sister of Rashad McCants, now with the Minnesota Timberwolves, formerly of the Tar Heels men's team. Rashonda wears her older brother's number 32, and it's good to see Rashad back, recovering from microfracture knee surgery and playing once again with the Timberwolves, back in the rotation.
Yeah, but she's the type of kid, she doesn't mind playing whatever role Coach Hatchell needs her to do. She'll play a big role, she'll set the screen, she'll rebound. To be successful, you need all of those ingredients when it comes to winning championships.
Inside, they play outside now. Malone drives it in. Missed the layup with the left hand. North Carolina looking to run. Miller quickly up the ladder.
Okay, this is a matchup I think Ivory Latta needs to take a look at if Howell's going to guard her man-to-man.
Lawless backed off of McCants, and McCants can shoot that short-range jump shot, and North Carolina's lead back up to 8 points. McCants with 12.
And she averages 9 points on the season, so you know she's a part of that lethal offense.
Inside to Wisdom Hilton, got the layup to go over Breland.
Yeah, she moved Breland up the lane and showed the hand, and you put air under it, she could go get it.
Miller on the baseline, good feet to Larkins. And Larkins gets the layup inside. Elena Larkins really starting to become even more so now the hub offensively for North Carolina. She has 18.
Well, Elena Larkins to me was like a guard that grew out of that body because she is so gifted, so smooth, and has wonderful basketball instinct.
Wallace into Wisdom Hilton. Rebounded underneath by Miller. Miller trying to push it. No numbers there. Right outside for North Carolina. North Carolina. Latta was going to launch. Malone wisely got up on it.
Well, she saw that Malone's hands were down. She faked the shot.
And that foul is going to go against Purdue as Rashonda McCants will go to the free throw line for a pair. Well, the NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Orbitz continues with action from the Final Four. It starts at 7 o'clock. Rutgers against number 3 LSU. The winner of this game will take on Tennessee. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with the NCAA Women's Championship Special.
Carolina doing a very good job now against the Purdue defense. They're coming from the weak side and they're flashing to the ball. And if you lose your man-to-man principles or zone principles, you're going to get front cut. That's exactly what McCants just did.
And speaking of McCants, let's go to Rebecca for more.
Guys, take a good look at Rashonda McCants' form on her shot. It looks a lot like her brother's Rashad. In the 6th grade, she emulated his shooting form, hung a picture of him shooting on her wall. And she was the only girl that would go with him to the community courts to play. I asked her yesterday what advice her brother would give her, and she said, I already know what he's going to say. He'll say, have fun, and make sure you're not letting any regrets come into your head. Don't let there be any woulda, shoulda, coulda when the game is over.
Good points to make from older brother, and told me earlier that her three-point shooting, she's a lot more comfortable with it this year as well, and her rotations defensively, and really earning her minutes this year.
Well, that's why North Carolina is so close with the men's team. Sylvia Hatchell regularly talks to Roy Williams about style and about things that they would like to do within their team concept. And let's not forget that Camille Little dates Marvin Williams, as you mentioned, of the Hawks.
Here's Wisdom Hilton, and she gave it right back after they made the steal, but it's Purdue ball underneath. Boilermakers trailing by 9 with just under 13 minutes to go, and if there isn't a little bit more on love and basketball, Latoya Pringle, her boyfriend Byron Sanders, used to play at North Carolina, plays professionally over in Germany now.
Yeah, Phil, you don't have to get In Touch magazine. You just have to hang out courtside here in Dallas with Jonesy.
Giving you all the dope. Wisdom Hilton with the turnaround jumper in the lane. It's a 7-point game. The winner of this one moves on to Cleveland to play in the Final Four. 3 teams have already punched their tickets. Out to Latta in 3-point territory, guarded by Gerald.
You know, this zone could almost be like a soft man-to-man because they're really not physical within it.
And Little is fouled underneath by Wisdom Hilton. Tennessee destroying Ole Miss earlier this evening, and boy, what a story for all the tumult and, you know, the turbulence that LSU has been through in the last couple of weeks. With the resignation of their coach, Pokey Chapman, they make it on to the Final Four, their 3rd consecutive one, and see Vivian Stringer and Rutgers punching their ticket as well.
Well, you've got a couple Hall of Famers in the Final Four in Pat Summitt and C. Vivian Stringer. They are great friends. Good to see them there, and of course for the SEC. It speaks volumes of the season that they have had collectively.
That was the 4th personal foul against Wisdom Hilton. And Purdue trails by 9 points. Larkin set to check back in for North Carolina. She comes in for Miller. North Carolina looking to make another trip to the Final Four, the 2nd consecutive one.
I think the difference, all these defenses against Katie Gerald, she's having to read it on the fly, and they continue to trap, and that's the problem.
And trapping it well, Nancy. They spent a lot of time in their walkthrough a couple of days ago working on that kind of defensive scheme.
Well, look at this right here. They blitz screen roll, and if you pick it up, you can't see your teammate. If you turn your back to them, you can't see the rim. The point guard has got to read the blitz, and maybe you slip the screen and you send someone to the rim.
Larkins comes up short on the free throw line jump shot. It is very tough to simulate the length and the speed that North Carolina throws at you defensively.
Well, already Gerald's has been guarded by Pringle, Little, Breland, Miller, Mark Jones.
She knows everyone on a personal level out there.
Absolutely.
There's Lawless out top. 7 on the shot clock. Malone's got to get busy with it.
Now, if you're a Little, you want to attack the hip of the big and get underneath them.
And a good defensive sequence that time, Nancy, by North Carolina. Coach first sip, undeterred, but Erlena Larkins in the office underneath and punching the clock in a big way. Back after this.
Flight 27 has been canceled due to weather. Our next departure is 6 a.m. tomorrow.
No, hey, lady. It's time to play Take On Orbits. Today's players have bad weather, must book a hotel before the other 200 passengers. Go.
Awkward?
Yes. Dentmore? Oh, no vacancy. Orbitz TLC lets you find a hotel right from your phone. Next time, Orbitz and Go.
Okay, you guys ready?
What's wrong?
Honey, look at this.
Is it for all of us?
Yeah. $1,600 for a week. We can do that.
Oh, yeah.
The magic begins when you realize you can afford a Disney vacation. Other affordable packages all year long. Visit disneyworld.com/affordable.
Trying to make sense of all your insurance options can make anyone feel a bit helpless. Fortunately, that's where we come in. For over 125 years, the principal has helped make the tough financial decisions easier. So whether it's life insurance, disability income insurance, or medical coverage, we can make protecting you and yours a lot less stressful. The Principal Financial Group will give you an edge.
North Carolina Tar Heels just 11-27 away from a trip to Cleveland in the Final Four. Coach Hatchell had this to say on the mentality to win a championship.
One person is not going to win the national championship, but all five playing together can win the national championship. And I think more than anything else, just the focus on no individualism, and it's all about the team, the focus and hard work that it takes, just the commitment, and just that refuse to lose attitude, that just warrior, being a warrior out there and competing to the highest level. I think that's the mentality that you have to win a championship.
Well, the last time that the Tar Heels won the national championship was 1994. You've probably seen the game-winning jumper by Charlotte Smith. Off the well-drawn-up inbound play, by the way. Larkins missing, Lawless clearing for Purdue. Purdue with a lot of work to do, approaching 11 minutes to go and trailing by 9 points.
Very unusual for Elena Larkins to miss. Since she got into Dallas, she's only hit 14 of her last 19 shots. She might want to think about moving to the state.
Boy, Katie Geralds continues to knock down her three-pointers. Lead is down to 6 points now. Katie Geralds was 16.
Katie Gerald needs to get a lot of touches as this game winds down, because Carolina has dominated the post, the paint right there once again for Larkins. 53 of the 56 points for North Carolina, Mark, have come either from turnovers, points off turnovers, or points in the paint.
And Carolina anticipating again well. And good tonight defense on the wings to get the tie up. Purdue basketball.
Boy, watch this. Watch the little foot fake here. That gets the defense leaning. The first move, you get the defense shifted. The second move, you score.
That's about, Nancy, as fundamental a move and good footwork as you're going to see.
She's the action. The defender is the reaction. And she reads what happens.
Boy, Lawless hit Freeman in the chops with an elbow and knocked down the jump shot. Not the way they drew it up, and Larkins with a potential easy one. Boy, they beat them on the run out, and Carolina will sting you. Even after a made basket, they'll look to run like that.
But Larkins does that all the time. I say this because when Rebecca played also, she was a big that could run. The minute a defender turns and looks at the ball, you sprint if you're a big down the other end. I'm sure Rebecca had a ton of points. Easy layups just by sprinting and out hustling a defender.
Larkins missing the first free throw. She shoots 68% on the season. She's been playing with a heavy heart since Christmas time. She lost her brother Gerard 3 days before Christmas, and continues to write his nickname on her sneakers. Let's go to Rebecca Lobo.
Well, guys, we talked to Erlina the other day about her brother, and she was wiping away tears. And when we asked her to describe him, she said he was everything. He was like a dad. We were friends. He tried to be a coach before games when he called me, and then she repeated, he was everything. As you mentioned, Mark, his nickname, Dr. J, is written on her shoes, and she said that since Jared's death, she's done a good job doing typical stuff like going to class and being around her friends, but obviously it's still very hard.
Getting a lot of support, Rebecca, from her extended family, as well as her family, her extended family, of course, her teammates and the coaching staff at Carolina. And boy, in the meantime and in between time, Purdue whittling that lead, Nancy, down to 4 points.
Yeah, and I want to add the other thing about Larkins is that she also lost her sister 2 years ago from AIDS. So, yes, it has been a difficult transition for her.
A nice step-through move and a good shot by McCants. Shonda McCants with a nice game, 15 points above her season average.
Well, if Pringle and McCants can give you some of that supplementary scoring, it takes the pressure with the fact that Ivory Latta really hasn't been involved offensively.
Carolina with a 3-on-1, Little finishing with the layup. And in a blink, they pump the volume back up to an 8-point lead with under 9 minutes to go. A bunch of Carolina fans making the trip here to Dallas. I'm Mark Jones along with Nancy Lieberman and Rebecca Lobo here at Reunion Arena. Number 2 seed Purdue trailing number 1 seed North Carolina. A trip to Cleveland and the Final Four on the line.
Carolina has done such a wonderful job of making sure Gerald doesn't get clean looks for the most part.
Here comes Ivory Latta. Latta with a pull-up. Boy, it looked like she took a hit on the shot and knocked down the jump shot. Ivory Latta so timely with some of the big buckets throughout the course of the season. She has gotten the dagger shots, the kill shots against the likes of UConn, against the likes of Tennessee, and also against the likes of Notre Dame. And proud parents watching. Ivory Latta with skills, with 2 Z's. Back after this.
Dream is still alive, someday it will come true. And this country, it belongs to folks like me and you. So let the voice of freedom sing out through this land. This is our country.
The all-new Chevy Silverado, the 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year.
There are 380,000 NCAA student athletes. And most of us will go pro
in something other than sports.
In something other than sports. Go to ncaastudent.org to find out how.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next. Would you please hold my drumsticks?
A little Vegas, a whole lot of Madison. The all-new Day Joke. Get ready.
Every month we used to fight over the bill, and then we got Charter Telephone. Now we can both talk as much as we want for one low rate. I can call my girl back home and talk all day.
Yep.
And Bob can call his and talk all night.
Yep.
These days we get along great.
You still eat my cookies.
You still leave dirty socks on the couch. Don't even get me started about the dishes.
Keep your number and talk it up with unlimited calling. Just call 1-877-SAVE-196 now and we'll get you connected.
Time for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the Elite Eight round. You got to give it to Sylvia Fowles and LSU as they advance to their 4th straight Final Four, only the 4th school to pull that up. For their efforts, Pontiac will donate $5,000 to the General Scholarship Fund at LSU.
All right, thanks a lot, Trey. Back here. NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Orbitz. North Carolina leading by 9 with 8:21 to go. What does Coach Versip do at this point to get her team going again, Nancy?
Well, I'm looking for a little bit more energy, and Malone needs to keep the ball in the middle of the court and not side it too early, because all they're going to try and do is trap you in that man. You see what I'm saying? the passes are just rushed because you feel the pressure to make precision passes.
And right now, let's check in with Trey Wingo for a Sports Center 30 at 30.
All right, Mark, thanks very much. If Roger Federer is Superman, then Guillermo Canas is kryptonite because he's taking him down again. Second time in less than a month, the #1 player in the world is beaten by Canas. The first time he ended his 41-match winning streak. And Tennessee blows out Ole Miss to get to their 17th Final Four. 36-point margin of victory. Largest ever in a regional final, guys.
All right, Trey, and Katie Gerald knocks down the 3 ball from the corner to keep Purdue's chances alive. They trail by 9 points with about 7.5 minutes to go. But I'm not so sure about Purdue's chances right now because Carolina is a nice group offensively, getting great looks, albeit missing on that sequence.
Well, they have got to stop turning the ball over and getting the ball to Geralds to pull up and shoot.
Katie Gerald's exuding supreme confidence right now from downtown. She has 22, continuing that torrid scoring pace.
She's going to be a better pro than she was a collegiate player as she continues to mature. But Mark, both these teams know how to win. They have serious tradition at their schools. Carolina won a championship in '94. Purdue won it in '99 with Yukari Figs and Stephanie White.
Both teams trying to get back to the Final Four. Nice dime by Gerald. She dropped a little change to Howell, and in a blink, Purdue cuts the lead to 4 points with 6:47 to go in the second half. They're still alive.
Well, they're still alive because finally they're showing some intensity and some passion. I really think this team, who has the personality of Coach Bursick, but they can push tempo. Look at this right here. You push it, you read it, and the defense can never catch up with the flight of the ball if you pass it correctly.
There's a look at Gerald's, the former Miss Basketball in the state of Indiana, to another former Miss Basketball in the state of Indiana, Howell. And you can tell that is the emotion of a senior playing with finality and urgency. Katie Gerald's telling us yesterday that she's not ready for this ride to end anytime soon.
Well, you're right. She's been on fire. We're talking about a kid who averaged 19 points a game during the regular season. She has upped the ante the last 8-9 games to about 25 points a game.
Purdue in the midst of an 8-0 run in the last 101. See what Carolina does here coming out of the timeout and what they run. They face a 2-3 zone this time. Flat out top.
And pretty much it's a sagging man, even though it's a zone, but they're trying to keep the ball out of the middle and force those shots.
Flat out missing, and here's Gerald's with a chance to cut the lead to 2 points, or 1. Or it remains at 4. Gerald's had a good look, but that will not deter her for taking another one, you bet. Back with more after this.
Kelly loves 2 things: UCLA basketball and his Pontiac Torrent crossover. The upgrade in fuel economy allows him to drive to every game. The upgrade in design allows him to drive in style. And the upgrade in seating capacity allows him to drive with tonight's officiating crew and a hypnotist.
Technical foul, Louisville.
Sweet.
Get your upgrade now at the Pontiac Upgrade event and get a 100,000-mile 5-year powertrain warranty standard. Plus, get 0% financing and $1,000 bonus cash on most Pontiac models. The Pontiac Upgrade event ends April 3rd.
Huh. Calories provide energy, but how much energy do you need? Powerade Option, the low-calorie sports drink.
StubHub! Still looking for college basketball tickets? Already have tickets but can't make it to the game? Go to StubHub.com today to buy and sell tickets to any round of the tournament. Where will you be? On the couch or in the stands? StubHub!
Dude, these guys just stole your phone.
Yeah, joke's on them. We're in Italy. My phone doesn't even work here.
What about when you get back home?
Doesn't work that well there either.
Non ti vergogni sto diretto? Sto cretino, guarda, ma mi fa perdere tempo,
All right. See, the joke's on them.
Singular has more coverage in more cities worldwide than Sprint. Singular, now the new AT&T. Your world delivered. Get the broadband Razor now at a very popular price.
Okay, I've been working on this plan for 3 years, and today's the day.
Okay.
Every Friday, the same Bud Light delivery guy takes the same route past us.
Okay.
You're the only one who can make the leap.
Okay.
When I say go, you jump over, grab some Bud Light, and jump back.
Okay.
Okay, here he comes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and go.
What'd you say?
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Seriously, what'd you say?
The NCAA Women's Championship, presented on ESPN by Orbitz, is brought to you by Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA.
Reunion Tower, downtown Dallas, just off of Interstate 35. We're back at Reunion Arena. North Carolina leading by 4 points. And Katie Gerald's once again coming up big in the second half, like she did with 18 points in the second half a couple of nights ago in that victory against Georgia.
I think a lot of that is her superior conditioning that she worked on. She lost weight. You talked about her recovering from the surgeries. This might be the first year that she's been totally healthy. She's had some turned ankles in the past. And the biggest stat line at all, confidence.
North Carolina going inside to Larkins, and she powers it up and one.
Oh, no.
She's got the muscle in her hustle. Erlena Larkins, they're going to ride her.
Oh, when she gets a rolling step to the basket, you are done, because she knows exactly what to do. The touch around the basket. See that rolling step right there? Little late by Lawless. You've got to fight her for that piece of block.
Larkins with 22, and look at that sparkling field goal percentage. Almost 7 rebounds.
Well, she's going to be a realtor because she gets location every time.
The lead back up to 7 points as we approach 6 minutes to go. A trip to Cleveland and an appearance in the Final Four on the line tonight for these two teams.
Well, very unusual in the stat sheet is that Carolina and Purdue have both 51 shots in this game. Usually they get twice, at least a third more shots than their opponents, Carolina.
Oh, Gerald's blew the layup almost a little bit too easy, maybe too close. Latta out top, setting the offense for North Carolina.
See, look at Ivory Latta. She's just directing her team. I want a high screen. I'm going to take it at an angle, but you have to use it.
Inside, Larkins, nice feed to Pringle for the layup. She has eyes in the back of her head. Larkins with a nice dime, and North Carolina leads by 9 with 5:25 to go.
You got a point guard in Latta directing traffic, and then you have a post point. Watch this right here. See, her head is up. She's sucking the defender in, and she knows exactly that Little is going to the front of the iron.
Erlena Larkins, Camille Little, Ivory Latta, the 3 L's. Doing the heavy lifting once again for North Carolina.
Well, it was her friend who said one day after she had 8 points in the tournament, she says, you can never have that few points in a game again, and you're going to see the variety in her game. She's a great offensive rebounder. She's nimble to the rim. She freezes you with that little foot fake. Kid has All-American written all over her.
Yeah, something about playing against Purdue. The black and gold of the Boilermakers gets her amped up. She had 23 against them last year in their regional and has 23 already tonight with a little over 5 minutes to go. Gerald's out top. Gets a screen from Lawless. They blitz it again. Good defense against the two-man game by North Carolina, Nancy, and they force the tie-up.
Well, you got to drag, dribble away from it. If not, you've got to stay low and attack. It's almost a race to the top foot of the kid who's coming to try and trap you. If you can beat her to the foot and get over it, you're in control of the play.
And Rebecca, what about Purdue's prospects of making a comeback here?
Well, guys, Carolina right now leads by 9, but remember, against Georgia, Purdue was down 13 in the first half yesterday. Coach Versup said it's hard to dig a hole, but we have done that several times this season and come back. So if it happens, we will be okay. We're a well-conditioned team, and in the second half, we'll still feel good.
Underneath, a nice give and go. Larkins with another dime. This one to Little for the layup. The lead back up to 11 points. And, you know, in that game that Rebecca was talking about against Georgia, Purdue fell down by 13 points. Hey, Katie Gerald's looked at her teammates and said, hey, that's their best shot. We just took their best hit. We can get something done against them. That time, Gerald's, though, missing. And a foul underneath against Latoya Pringle on the rebound. That's her second. Let's set the foul situation. Sorry, Nancy. Purdue with 5 team fouls. North Carolina with 3 team fouls at this point.
Well, Gerald's has got to continue to shoot the basketball, and I still say that Wisdom Hilton has to be a factor. Nice play by Larkins to switch out on Katie Gerald.
When you can do that with a big like that, it really gives you some good options defensively. Malone missing everything, or was it a pass? We'll give her credit for the assist, okay? We'll be nice. Wisdom Hilton with the putback off the air ball. Now they extend the defense a little bit.
Yeah, well, I want to go back to that play by Larkins, because not only is Carolina switching, but they're switching to deny. They're not just switching to switch. And you got to go inside early.
Nice pass out of the double team. McCants with a little show and go on the play. Little crashing the boards relentlessly. And Wisdom Hilton comes away with it off the miss. Here comes Malone. An errant pass intended for Freeman goes out of bounds. And we have a timeout on the floor. North Carolina 3:39 away from a trip to the Final Four in Cleveland for the 2nd consecutive year.
Flight 27 has been canceled due to weather. Our next departure is 6 a.m. tomorrow.
No, hey, lady. It's time to play Take On Orbits. Today's players have bad weather, must book a hotel before the other 200 passengers. Go.
Awkward?
Yes. Dentmore. Oh, no vacancy. Orbits TLC lets you find a hotel right from your phone. Next time, Orbits and go.
Don't think of them as tools. This is not a saw, it's a deck. So we can grill out. And this is a shelf for our vacation pictures. And this, okay, really?
It's the Home Depot Tool Event. Get an instant $35 to $500 off from power tools and wet dry vacs to generators and more. Now through April 11th.
So this is my nice clean garage, right?
The Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
The war in Europe is over. The unconditional surrender.
This is our country.
After 89 years in the making, this is our truck. The 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. The all-new Chevy Silverado.
I talk.
I swing.
I hit.
I fly. And I throw. Like a girl.
At State Farm, we've always believed in the spirit of the female athlete. That's why we're committed to supporting women's athletics.
Plays it in far side for a three from Charlotte Smith. She hit it! She hit a three-point basket! North Carolina wins! The Tar Heels are national champions!
The year was 1994. The clothing styles were a little bit different back then. And North Carolina winning the national championship. 94 and 2006 they made the Final Four, and there's a look at Charlotte Smith that knocked down that game-winning jump shot. The winner of this game gets Tennessee.
Well, that was a very poignant moment in women's basketball history. She knocking down that shot. The year before, Cheryl Swoops having 47 points in the championship game, and then the next year, our great Rebecca Lobo winning the championship with Connecticut. Those were very important moments in our growth and in our exposure of the game.
Everletta had the ball knocked out of bounds by Bakara Malone. 3:26 to go, North Carolina basketball. For live stats and game recaps from all rounds of every championship, go to NCAAsports.com. NCAAsports.com is the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships as McCants comes out of the ball game for North Carolina. This game already up in the 70s, which you would think spells trouble for Purdue, Nancy.
Well, they only give up 54 points a game, so yes, if they weren't giving up 23 points off turnovers, they might have been able to keep that in a manageable range.
Latta missing, but Larkins corralling the loose ball to pull it back out and run another set here. Latta trips and falls. And Sylvia Hatchell calls a timeout as she saw Miller in distress.
And that's a good thing because a lot of coaches like to have their offense in front of their bench in the second half of the game, expressively for situations like that where you can call the timeout.
Sylvia Hatchell rules the huddles with a lot of tough love as well as her practices. Players telling me a little bit earlier about earlier this year, one of the pivotal points was when they lost to North Carolina State, and the following practice they knew that they were going to have to do a lot of running. And tell you, some of the players told me that there were a few lunches lost in the process.
That's when they put the trash cans in the corner. But for these three teams, that's pretty good stuff. Congratulations to LSU, Tennessee, and Rutgers for advancing. They've been there before.
3 minutes to go in this one. Larkins comes to the aid of Little. And Little broke wide open after inbounding the ball. Larkins didn't see her. Tough place to pick the ball up right near the stripe like that. Here's Latta.
About 7 seconds on the shot clock. She must attack the hip of the defender and go right to the rack.
Well, Latta got all the way to the bucket, showing a burst like her old self. Put her head down and was determined to get there.
Yeah, it's a big on a little. Even though Wisdom Hilton is a tremendously gifted player, you're going to lose that speed race if she attacks you as Lindsay fouls out. See, she attacks the hip, makes the defender open up, and then you go right to the rim.
Stops the clock with 2:45 to go, and Ivory Latta out of tiny McConnell, South Carolina. Holds all the high school scoring records in that state, and Wisdom Hilton, as you mentioned, Nancy, fouling out of the game with 14 and 7.
Well, she's pretty much a local kid. When she was younger, she grew up in the Plano area, has a lot of fans here, but I want to go back to Ivory Latta because Sylvia Hatchell followed this kid since high school. When Ivory had 73 points in a high school game, she had a triple-double in a high school playoff game. Kobe had nothing on her.
Toronto's a tiny town of a little over 3,000 people. A couple of years ago, they actually had a Ivory Latta Day there. Little parade down the main drag there. She used to write the names of family members. As we look at her mother and father there, used to write the names of family members and others important to her on her kicks. But now she emblazons her kicks with her late grandmother's name to commemorate her, and she's dedicated the remainder of the season to her late grandmother.
Let me tell you what, I thought it was a tough regular season for Ivory Latta. She hung in there like a champ. She put on a little bit of weight because she couldn't practice in the preseason. She was kind of a little inhibited to show some of that flair and enthusiasm for fear that maybe she was showboating, or the perception of it, which she really does not do.
Well, you know she's large when rap star Ludacris shows up to her games. You know, how many players in NCAA men's or women's can boast that?
She is a star of stars. She's great for women's basketball. She gets a lot of attention. When your teammates like you, that's all that matters.
Latta has really started to find her way offensively in the second half. Knocking down the pull-up there and driving it to the basket when she's had to. Like I said, she has a flair for the moment, for the dramatic especially. Well, tonight at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, folks, don't miss the NCAA Women's Championship special with Trey Wingo, Kara Lawson, and Stacey Dales in the studio as they preview all that there is to know in the 2007 Final Four. Tennessee's headed to Cleveland. Rutgers and LSU break down, and the NIT is down to 2 now. All this and a lot more comes your way tonight at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. And Katie Jarrell's career, perhaps, potentially, with just 2:31 to go.
Well, she's done all she can for her basketball team. The problem is that they could not contain the interior of North Carolina. Over 48 points in the paint, wow, and 23 points off turnovers, and that was one of the keys in the locker room. Keep them out of the paint, don't give them second chance points, and please don't let them score off our mistakes.
Couldn't really tell, Nancy, on that last foul. Are they playing the fouling game here with a little under 2.5 minutes to go? Is it too early to play that way, or is this a good time for it?
There's still a lot of time left on the clock, especially if you can get some three-point shots up. but they have to be able to get the basketball, and they still need time.
Elena Larkins out dueling her Team USA former teammate, Lindsay Wisdom Hilton, tonight. Wisdom Hilton is fouled out of the ball game, due in part to the activity, the relentless work on the glass at both ends by Elena Larkins.
Well, she's a handful for anybody, but for me, Gerald's needs help. Between between Gerald's and Wisdom Hilton, they had taken 400 and 500 shots. They were the main ingredients for offense, and when you don't get that from Wisdom Hilton, it's a problem.
Foul on the play is Wisdom Hilton with a rather lugubrious look on her face.
What?
Pretty gloomy.
Gloomy. Hey, she's a heck of a player. She's first team all Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Her star is bright, and a game like this is going to be difficult to let go, but she'll learn from it.
Made first team all Big Ten in the tournament. This team has a lot to be proud of for Purdue. They've won 10 straight coming into this one, and still a little bit of time left. Don't write them off yet. An 8-point North Carolina lead, and Malone fouls again.
Well, coach is telling her kids, go after them and stop the clock. They need the ball and time.
Ivory Latta will go to the free throw line, and the good news for North Carolina is that Latta is an 85% free throw shooter on the season. Latta shooting the bonus 1-1. Purdue with 8 fouls. They haven't gotten to 10 yet.
You know, we talk so much about North Carolina's offense being #1 in the nation, 85 points a game, that maybe their defense gets a little overlooked because they only give up 54 points a game. They are one of the leaders in rebound margin, blocks, steals. They're in the top 5 in all those categories, and they're playing with confidence and balance right now.
Leading by 9, Latta knocks down both foul shots to give North Carolina a 10-point advantage again. Malone letting the ball bounce before the clock starts.
Carolina wants to play position defense. They really don't want to foul and stop the clock.
Gerald's almost had an opportunity at a three-point play. Looked like, Nancy, that they were trying to run her off the three-point line that time.
Well, they were trying to run her off, but they're jumping out at her, so she did the next best thing, pushed the ball through, and I could see Sylvia Hatchell jump up and go, don't foul. It drives coaches crazy.
As you look at Katie Gerald's at the free throw line, she touched her neck. It reminds me of the fact that she almost didn't play in the semifinal game of the Big Ten tournament. She woke up the morning of the semifinal game, was brushing her teeth, and kind of got a prick in her neck, and was really a game time decision. Just think about the fact that she wasn't able to play in that. Latta missing the layup, and a chance now to cut the lead to 6 for Purdue. Malone took it all the way to the cup and missed the left-hand layup. Oh, a glorious opportunity falling by the boards for the freshman Fakara Malone.
Fakara Malone is going to have a pretty good career here at Purdue. She is so fast. She is fearless. This kid, who averages about 8.6 points a game, is clearly the quickest player on the floor here, and she goes hard to the rim. You can't fault her for her effort.
She had a problem with turnovers a couple of games ago, committed 9 in the first half. Coach Versip sat her down to let her just kind of collect her thoughts, and she came back and played a poised game. And after the miss, Purdue down by 8 points as we approach 1.5 to go. Gerald's looking for a little bit of space, didn't need any, and got it to fall.
Yeah, she's got beautiful touch on her shot. She's got the counter moves, the step throughs if you overcommit.
It's a 6-point game with 1:22 to go, and a foul in the backcourt on Malone. Well, folks, don't forget, coming up after the game on SportsCenter, John Anderson, Steve Levy will get you caught up on all the sports news and information of the day. How to beat Roger Federer twice? Wow. And who the Cowboys should take in the draft, and America's pick for MVP.
Well, I guess if Sylvia Hatchell had her way, I'm sure she'd make a good pick. She grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan, even though she's from Gastonia, North Carolina. She said that north of Charlotte, they were all Redskin fans. south of Charlotte, they were Cowboy fans. So that's how they got the games, and she still has an autographed picture of Roger Staubach, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the picture of Staubach was given to her by a friend. The picture outlasted the friendship.
At least you got the picture.
Latta knocks down the second foul shot. The lead is back up to 8 points with 1:21 to go. Winner of this one gets Tennessee in Cleveland in the women's NCAA Final Four championship.
Well, that would be an interesting matchup of their game earlier in the year. The game at, I think it was at Carolina, where it was a turnover fest.
And it was a game in which Ivory Latta once again hit the timely buckets and got the dagger shots, the kill shots for North Carolina. But tonight it has been more so Erlena Larkins that has done a lot of the heavy lifting for North Carolina. .106 to go. And time now to check out our Powerade player of the game, and it's Erlena Larkins out of Riviera Beach, Florida. A little bit north of West Palm Beach, Florida. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 steals, and a lot of good passing out of the post, which keeps the defense honest.
Well, they said Larkins wasn't too good against zone defenses, but she proved everybody wrong, because if you use her to get the ball inside and create offense for her teammates, everybody shifts. It gives her opportunities on the offensive glass. She's getting to the foul line. You know she's a power player around the rim.
We're here at Reunion Arena. Number 1 seed North Carolina leading number 2 seed Purdue by 6 points. Me by 8 points with 1:06 to go. Erlena Larkins at the free throw line. I'm Mark Jones along with Nancy Lieberman and Rebecca Lobo courtside. The winner of this game will take on Tennessee in the Final Four in Cleveland coming up next Sunday. Sports Center follows immediately after the game. Larkins knocks down the second. Purdue, you would think at this point, really has to start launching some threes.
Well, they just have to either run Gerald's off screens like that and give her an opportunity for a shot.
Pringle with the rebound, Latta with the outlet. Ivory Latta got a nice backcourt screen from Pringle. Boy, someone's going to get hurt, and you saw that coming. You saw that coming.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tough play for Jody Howe right there.
That's her defenders, her teammates' fault for not calling out that screen, as Latta lost control. Miller lost it out of bounds, but it's North Carolina basketball.
This is how you get a defender off your teammate. This is a beautiful play. Not if you're on the receiving end, of course. Then you go see the dentist.
Now, Powell should go to her teammate Malone and say, hey.
You got to call that.
Thank you.
You got to call it loud. You got to call it early to know that she's there, because she's got her head down and she's chasing the ball.
Take a look one more time at the brackets. Tennessee trouncing Ole Miss tonight, an SEC foe, to move on to Cleveland, and they'll get the winner of this game between North Carolina and Purdue. And boy, LSU continues to be one of the feel-good stories of the tournament so far, amidst all the turbulence and controversy, and able to advance to their 3rd consecutive Final Four. And Rutgers on that side of the draw as well. Katie Gerald's having a wonderful season with just 32.9 potentially left in her collegiate career.
Right now, Purdue has to foul immediately if they have any chance. They must have the ball to score.
Going to be a foul right after the inbound pass, and Latta went down hard at the midcourt stripe.
Ivory Latta, she comes up big all the time. ACC tournament MVP. It was Sylvia Hatchell before the tournament that called her in the office and said, Ivory, you're playing basketball, you're not competing. And she challenged her to raise her level of play, and she did.
Always, she's telling me, known to get on her two-way pager and speak with the likes of Jeff McInnes, former point guard at North Carolina, Ray Felton, another friend of hers, Cappy Pondexter with Phoenix in the WNBA. She has more friends than anybody I know.
Yeah, I would like to see her. You know, her phone has as many good names in it as the highway here in the state of Texas. If you lose that phone, you're going to be hooked up.
Larkins at the foul line. Makes the first of a couple, and now the lead up to 10. And the countenance of Aaron Lawless etched with disappointment right now with 32.1 seconds to go. And Howell with a game performance tonight despite the shoulder injury. Little with the rebound off the miss. They kick it back out to Latta. Don't forget SportsCenter coming up next, and there's another highlight. Latta to Larkins, and now it's time to bust out the smiles. Maybe pop your collar a little bit. All the way from Dallas, Texas to Highway 15501 and Franklin Street in North Carolina. They can feel the Tar Heels right now. And Ivory Latta with another layup. A 12-point advantage. And holding up the pride of the ACC.
Well, the game plan was all about Carolina executing with their speed, their rebounding, dominating the post, and getting points off steals.
As Latta's good friend Ludacris would say, it's time to shake your moneymaker, and that's what they did tonight. North Carolina advancing to Cleveland, and their second consecutive appearance in the Final Four. A dejected Katie Geralds with another wonderful game. 28 points for her, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. There'll be better days for her down the road at the next level. So the last slot has been filled, has been completed. North Carolina will face Tennessee in Cleveland on Sunday night. You can watch it all on ESPN, the exclusive home of the
teenage prodigies like Larry Johnson and Vince Carter.